Hello and welcome to For the Love of Oats, the third instalment, hosted by yours truly, Jack Richardson, and my partner in crime, Vicky Masita.
Hello.
Today we're going to be having all the chats, but first let's catch up. So Vicky, how's the past couple of weeks gone for you?
Yeah, decent to be fair, mate. Not too bad at all. As you know we train together, and if anybody doesn't know that we train together, then they've been living under a rock for like at least the past 2 weeks and haven't listened to the previous podcasts. So me and Jack obviously train together, so we have been manipulating a couple of things here and there. I actually had a week training on my own, didn't I? Because you were shitting through the eye of a needle and I didn't want to, so I decided to stay away from you at that point. But yeah, so for those numbers, they were actually pretty decent. They weren't too bad at all. Then I had a little bit of a setback and just thought that I had a really shit session, which was the most recent leg day that I had, and I was just feeling a bit, well, what's the right word to say it? Fucked. in the use of a better word.
There you go.
I suppose. Yeah. It just, everything felt heavy. I progressed my numbers, but everything felt heavy. So because of that, I just decided to kind of manipulate my program a little bit and just go how I was feeling. And I actually wrote in my logbook, training by feel today. So I took some of my weights down. I just manipulated a couple of ranges. So instead of like going balls to the walls on my hip thrusts, so I do 2 variations of hip thrusts. On my leg days, I do one with you on the glute drive, and then I do my second one from the floor because I can overload that heavier. And it's just a different movement. So instead of actually going like 3 sets of 8 to 12 on those, I just decided to do a pyramid set. So I just did 3 sets of 10, but just pyramiding up in weight without going too heavy and just giving my CNS a little bit of a break. And then skipped an exercise as well. So I decided not to do my dumbbell lunges. Yes, I am that person who on that day skipped an exercise. That's it. Lost all my gains. All of the hypertrophy is going.
Doing Yates wouldn't be happy.
No, not at all. Not at all. Weak. Absolutely weak. But it did actually spark a bit of a conversation with us yesterday, didn't it? Because it was the Team Titan meetup yesterday.
Uh-huh.
So that was quite awesome. So even though obviously I'm not your coach, you decide you're still part of the team, aren't you? You're still a Titan. Yeah, you're still a Titan. So we had a wicked meetup actually in Ultimate Fitness in Birmingham. There were some Titans who couldn't meet or join us because we had to change the date beforehand. So there were a few of us that didn't meet up, but it was absolutely wicked. Ultimate Fitness in Birmingham is a really good gym. It's nice and central. And I was talking to you on the way down, wasn't I, about skipping some exercises because of how I was feeling. And it sparked off a really good kind of subject that we could get into about what is it that you actually do when you're feeling like that? Do you take that set to failure? Do you manipulate your rep ranges? How do you feel about doing it?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you need to go back later on in the afternoon and do the remainder of your session because it's like, fuck, I've missed out on 2 sets of 22 lunges? No, we don't do that. But yeah, obviously it was quite a nice question. It might not be one of the viewers' questions or whatever, but what do you think about that?
Training by field definitely does have its benefits. I know there are some times where you may feel a little bit lethargic and the logbook will push you saying, so like, right, okay, I'm not really feeling this, but these are the numbers I should be hitting. And then you end up hitting them and probably PBing. But there are some days where nothing is going to plan, you're just off. And it's just one of those days. It could be a number of variables if you were to reverse engineer. So you could be down on sleep, down on hydration, a bit stressed, whatever the reason. Or reason that you can't particularly think of, but you're just affected for some reason. And, you might have to just play it by ear and, not complete the session fully and probably skip a few things like back a couple of weeks ago when I had that illness on the Monday when we were training legs. We weren't fully sure to the extent of how bad it was going to be. But on that day, I said I was a bit ill. My sleep wasn't the best, and I just didn't have the power. So instead of blasting the legs and trying to PB every exercise, I just made sure I got a good blood flow, I got a good workout, and I got to a certain point of the session, which was pretty much near the end, where I said, right, okay, I'm probably going to leave it here because I could just feel myself dipping. There's massive drop-offs in my training from set to set. So I just left it. And that was a good idea because that night I just ended up being very ill, and the next day I was bedbound. So, you know, if I had have gone balls to the wall, it probably would have affected my recovery from the illness even more so.
Definitely. I mean, that day was just like a little bit of a shitty session, wasn't it, for yourself? So we got the quote unquote meat and potatoes done. And then after that, you were just, I mean, to be fair, it was the accessory exercises, wasn't it? So it was just like the pump blood flow. And I think if you had gone on those, it would have put you in a more detrimental position at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think if you're going to get some stuff done, or you're going to miss some stuff, I think it'd be the fluff work. If you're going to miss anything, as long as there's not injury stopping you from doing the compounds, of course.
Yeah, for sure. And it works both ways as well. You know, sometimes if you are injured or you are feeling that massive CNS fatigue and you've got to go by feel, then skip your meat and potatoes and just go for blood flow. You know, use it as like a little bit of like a backing off deloading week, which I think again is something else that people almost think about, or they don't think about, because it's like, no, I've got to get the meat and potatoes done at least. And it's like, well, do you?
There's a sort of an all or nothing thing with training. It's like, if you're not, for some people, I'm not saying this is for everyone, but for some people, they have an all or nothing mentality. So if you're not training until your eyes bleed, you're not training. So you're not training that hard. Like, you know, it's either you don't go to the gym, you take it from the gym, or if you're in the gym, you'll have to train until your eyes bleed. And sometimes maybe holding back a little bit has its benefits. And this is a completely different argument with reps of reserve and everything, because there's loads of different arguments of how you should perform in the gym and the intensity that you should work at. And you've been countless of debates. So this is it's quite a individualized discussion topic. I would say train what benefits you, essentially. If that's
exactly. It's that emotional attachment to training, isn't it? And especially if you do have a coach who's programmed it for you, you kind of feel almost a little bit guilty that you haven't managed to complete the entire session. And it's like, when you go to your check-in for your coach, it's like, do you know what? I had to miss like 3 exercises this week. Now, any good coach, or even if you just kind of said, I literally just did squats and then I went home because I just wasn't feeling it. So I got my numbers on squats and then I just didn't do any of my accessories. Now, any good coach worth their name on paper is going to not detriment you for that and not basically say, well, do you know what? That was a really shit thing to do. You need to go back and you need to do your accessories and that kind of thing, because they've got to take your health into consideration. And that comes down to your honesty at the end of the day as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the take home from that, just like a little off tangent subject, is if you feel like shit, if you've had a bad night's sleep, if you're throwing up, shitting out your ass, whatever else that accompanied you to not have a decent session, then don't think that just because you've written it down in your logbook, you've got to do it. You have got to go by feel, and you've got to look after yourself, because if you just keep on pushing and just trying to get those extra accessory exercises done, or just every single rep that you need to get done because it's written in your diary, you're just going to set yourself back. And then instead of just having that half a day off the gym, or even 2 or 3 days out of the gym, you're going to be put out for like 4 weeks.
I would say on the flip side to that, training by feel, some days you will go into the gym and you will feel stupendous. You'll feel excellent, and everything's just flying up, and those logbooks are probably going to be restricting you. And you'd probably be holding you back, and you'd be like, I can lift more than that logbook is telling me I can lift. And sometimes, you know, you're training by feel, and you feel extra good that day. Like I've done recently, a few sessions. I've gone, right, okay, I'll put the logbook to the side, go up a little bit, and I've got those numbers. And if I'd have followed the logbook, I would have restricted myself and restricted my progression. So there is a flip side to that, training by feel.
Totally.
Yeah, I think having a hybrid of the two, of utilizing your logbook and also training by feel, I would say, for me, that is the best way to train. You know, because you've got the accountability of the logbook, but if you're training by feel, you've got sort of the honesty of that. It's just knowing when to use the two, and knowing, like, okay, trying to differentiate the day of, right, okay, I'm not feeling it today, my motivation is a bit low, and being pushed by a logbook. And also, you know, I'm not feeling it because everything's off and I won't be able to perform, and it might be a detriment to my recovery. It's trying to differentiate the two.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. So yeah, use your logbook and use your common sense.
And if you feel like taking an additional progression,
then take the additional progression. But don't be an arsehole with it.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so yeah, that was quite a nice little tangent, wasn't it?
Yes.
So shall you start off? We've had a few questions, some of which are really good, and then some which are obviously our funny ones, because we don't do complete and utter serious podcasts, because we're not like that. So do you want to start off
with a good question, and then I shall say, you seem to get like some ones, you know, things that are relating to biscuits and shit. So I'll do a biscuit one afterwards.
Your headphones. A little bit, but I heard you. I think just about the questions. We will get on the questions. Right.
Get to the questions.
I have a great question of an ex-client of mine, a great guy, and it is, what should somebody? His name is Benjamin Longstaff. He says, what should somebody be thinking about before going assisted? And, you know, what should they consider before making a decision?
Nice question. Do you want to go with it, considering that you are the
nasty trained assistant?
Yeah.
Or would you like me to start?
I'll go with it, and you could probably sort your mic out. So yeah, things that I would consider beforehand is I would definitely have a few years of training. I would definitely have consistent nutrition, consistent training, and I would definitely make sure you're able to nail those two variables first, and you can nail your recovery outside of that, because you don't want to be in a position where you're relying on making your gains through solely gear. You know, you're like, I can't be asked to go to the gym, and you just injecting yourself with just hormones, because that would be quite irresponsible thing to do. I would also consider why you're wanting to go on. What are you hoping to get out of it? So for me, I'm assisted because I want to be an IFBB pro in the classic physique, and you know, it sort of does require taking that next step. But for what a lot of people want out of their physique, it's actually quite attainable naturally. There's, you know, you've got the average Joe in the gym, like, right, I want to look good naked. So they start smashing in some D-ball or whatever, and they start smashing in whatever into the system. And, you know, yes, they do make the gains, but for what they like, I've asked some people to show me their desired physique, and you know, it's very attainable naturally. For what a lot of people want out of the gym, out of their physique, it's attainable naturally. I've had people who are going on gear and then told me whilst I was natural, it's like, I don't want to get as big as you. I was like, well, okay, well, I'm natural. And I've had some people say, right, I've started getting assisted so I could get like you. I'm like, well, I was natural at that point. Because a lot of people lack the perspective of the ability you can take your physique naturally. I think going to untested federations is a great one for that, because you can see the natural standard, especially the British finals. Like it's just phenomenal, and you're just sort of in disbelief at some of the people who turn up their physique. So yeah, so I'll definitely get some training behind you and look as to what you want actually out of it. Things that I would consider is I would get some health checks as well. I get your bloods done, get that looked at by someone with expertise within that field. Like, for example, I'm being advised by an individual called Dave Crossland. So he'll be checking over my bloods, and he'll be giving me the verdict on, things to look out for, things that may be, outwards of the health markers. I would also make sure you're very, very aware of the negative sides of the steroids. Just an honest point of view. So I would ask people who are very honest and very aware and self-aware of their usage about their experience, or I would do your research. There are people out there that will say, yeah, steroids are the best thing since sliced bread. I love going on them, but they won't talk about the negatives. And there are some people who are like with a massive stigma of steroids, saying everything negative, you can't use it without dying. So it is swings and roundabouts, really. So you need to have a fully unbiased sort of point of view before taking steroids. So you want to know the health, the dangers, the benefits, so you can make a fully formed decision. That's everything at the top of my head. I don't suppose you've got anything else you want to add to that, Vicky?
Yeah, the only thing that I would add on top of that, I hope my microphone is not screaming at this point, but the only thing that I would add on top of that is just be aware of the financial implications before you start steroids, or any kind of assistance in terms of hormones, because it's extremely expensive. And if you just kind of think, oh, well, I can't afford this 1 month, that's going to fuck your cycle right up.
Yes.
It really, really is. So just be aware that starting a cycle is extremely expensive. You do have to make sure that all of your docs are lined up in a row before you start.
Yeah.
So if, for example, you have a combined stack of testosterone, estrogen, I'm not going to mention any more because people might just think, oh, that's a stack that we can take. So I'm not going to mention any more about it. But make sure that before you even start your first dose, you have got everything. Don't just anticipate that you've got testosterone, so you'll do testosterone now, and then when the anti-estrogens come on board, as in when they get delivered a little bit later on, then you'll start the anti-estrogens. That's not how it works. You need to make sure that you have got everything before you start the very, very first oral or the very first jab. And there's no questions about that. So be aware of the financial implications and don't start something before you have everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it just budget, really. Probably have things in line, so have access to a lab, and make sure it is consistent access. Make sure you know the prices, make sure you know the cost of the course that you're going to take, make sure you know your course, of thereabouts, know the course, so you can pretty much get an idea of how things are going to run. Sometimes you won't be able to exactly estimate exact what you're going to be doing, but you can have a rough idea of the costs. But yeah, that is a good thing to actually put out there, to be fair, is a financial thing, because not a lot of people take that into consideration. People are like, I'm going to take what I can afford when I can afford it, and that just is very inconsistent when some people are, again, smashing some e-ball, and like, right, okay, we'll probably have some tests now because that's quite cheap. It's like, oh, I can't afford any this month, so I won't take any, or I can't afford any AIs, and meanwhile, that is just fucking themselves up. quite badly. They're dying on the inside.
Dying on the inside with lots and lots of other side effects because of badly programmed cycles or badly taken cycles. It could be an absolutely fantastic programmed cycle on paper, but if you're not actually going to adhere to it, it's the same with nutrition and training. It could be the best program written on paper, but ultimately you are the person who's responsible for the macronutrients you put in your mouth and the amount of training that you do in the gym. It's the same thing for steroids. It could be the best stack that's been prescribed for you, but if you're not actually doing it in accordance with that prescription, then you're only doing yourself a disservice.
Uh-huh. So
has that answered that question fully, do you think?
I'd say so.
Wonderful. Okay, I will ask the next one then. A bit of a controversial subject, so feel to omit if necessary. This is from one of my clients, Leslie. Jaffa cake or custard cream? Very controversial.
I feel like with Jaffa cakes, I can't have one. Like I have to have a pack.
Yeah.
They're very easy to just nibble and just go boom, boom, boom. I do like the custard cream though. I do like, splitting it the top off, licking it.
Oh, do you do the whole Oreo thing with the custard cream? That's interesting.
Yeah. Dunk it in some tea. Oh, brilliant! I do like I do have a bit of a biscuit fetish. To be fair, I do like biscuits quite dearly. I don't know.
Now the thing is, though, another controversial aspect of this is a Jaffa cake a biscuit.
It's a cake, isn't it? It's a cake. Yeah.
It's the clue is in the name, but people still dunk them. They are a biscuit.
Yeah.
You can't dunk a cake.
Well, it's like is tomato a fruit or a veg?
Oh, mate, it's a fruit.
Well, yeah.
It is a fruit. That's not a question. It's a fruit. That's not controversial. It is a fruit.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
And cherry tomatoes are sweets.
Yeah.
I can eat them like sweets. When I was on prep, they were dangerous in my household because you know how you get like the little punnets of cherry tomatoes or even the baby plum ones. So I was obviously giving myself like my 50 gram of tomatoes. And then on the way back to the fridge, I was just eating them out of the punnet like a sweetie packet. Oh, they're like crack. It's just terrible. So the point where literally I had to take them out of my diet because it was just like, no, I'm just going to smash a whole load of tomatoes.
See, this is the thing. Food focus makes you obsessed over the weirdest stuff. Weirdest stuff. Like I remember having some 0-calorie syrups, and I just put it on my. I remember just put it on my finger.
Oh, really?
Flavor.
That was disgusting.
I know, it's weird. It's weird. I hate them. I know. In the off season, you're like, they taste shit. And they're so expensive.
I know, right? Just have ketchup.
Yeah.
Just have ketchup. One of my biggest go-to hacks in the off season, mint sauce.
Mint sauce?
Mint sauce. There's like fuck all calories in them at all.
What, cranberry
sauce?
sauce?
When on prep.
Really?
Mint sauce is a go-to, and it goes on everything. It goes on curries, it goes on peas, it goes on fish, it goes on what else do I have it on? I have it on like baby new potatoes. I love my mint sauce. It's well nice. And if you mix it with yogurt, you've made yourself a little raita.
Really?
Yeah. There you are, see? Hack.
There we go. Boys and girls listening to the podcast, you learned some shit today.
Absolutely.
You got to learn. So the answer is, which one couldn't I live without? This how I'm going to put it, which doesn't actually make it any easier. So could it be? I'm going to have to give an answer. Stop wasting time. I'm going to say
exactly.
Custard cream. Custard cream is up there. What about you?
Well, I'm a celiac, so there are no gluten-free Jaffa cakes, and there are gluten-free custard creams, but they are half the size of a normal custard cream, so it's just not worth it. So yeah, but out of the two, the gluten-free, well, obviously I haven't had a gluten-free Jaffa cake because there are none. So yeah, fuck you, celiac disease. But yeah, custard creams obviously have to win for me because they're the only ones that are gluten-free that I can have. But there you are. Thank you to Shah
shit.
for that. Never mind. Right, question number 3 from your Instagram following. What have we got?
I have a lot of, you know, when people are, when you're asking questions, you have a lot of people go, hi,
Oh, loads of them.
or follow for follow. So weird.
How are you? Stay strong.
Right, cool. So Jack Stanier, the vegan dream.
Oh, hi, a vegan.
The beautiful vegan, our vegan friend. It says, what are your opinions on all training methods, etc.? HIIT, RIR, RPE, etc. And why you prefer your current?
That's a long loaded question, Jack.
It is. It's quite a long loaded question, but I'll answer this briefly. Like I said, pretty much at the beginning of the podcast, it's like training is very individualized. There's discussions throughout all of them. And some people bash RIR when they train to full intensity, and some people bash working out intensely because they're working at RIR, because there's arguments for each side. So my opinions are, find what works for you. Find what you enjoy the most, but you can still get the results that you want. I personally enjoy training to full intensity when I can, because that's how I've always trained. I like getting to the end of a set, and when it gets hard, thinking one more until I can't do it anymore and go to failure. And that's always how I've trained. Before the whole discussion came in, when I was 17 years old, I was training like that. Because that's how I enjoy training. But yeah, this is something you can talk all day about. This is something that people far smarter than me have debated about. So yeah, what are your thoughts, Vic?
I'm exactly the same. I never program anybody the same way. I never program anybody to a high intense level. Yeah. The only thing that I would realistically say is that if you are brand new to lifting and you are not aware of true intensity and true failure, then don't train to true failure. You know, the big boys are now doing like one top set and then a back off set because they understand what that kind of level of intensity entails. So like, say for example, I programmed somebody the other day with a lot more volume. But the reason why they had a lot more volume was because they are new to the gym. They need to be aware of what they can do. If I just say, go into the gym and fuck yourself up over 2 sets, over, 2 sets on each exercise, and you're just going to do 6 exercises, they'll never do that. They will never, ever go to true failure. So they need to get their volume in to the type of intensity that is relative to them, so they understand what it's like to actually train. There's other people as well who are extremely good bodybuilders, but they've almost, in a way, been gifted to the stage without realizing that they could do a lot more. Yeah. So they do all of these things and say, oh, I went to true failure, and you have a look at their videos that you send over and you're like, dude, what on earth is that? You know, there's not. And that's why I really do like having a look at videos from my clients. I do ask them to send me videos all the time, because I can then gauge their intensity and say, right, well, do you know what? You told me that was failure. When I saw that was like an RPE 6. So quite honestly, I'm going to change your training program until you really understand what true failure means. Exactly. So then I change it, and then all of a sudden they end up getting much better results, you know, and they're like, Jesus, this is like a magical training program. It's like, it's not. It's just the fact that you are getting the most adequate volume for you. Yeah. So you can't program the same, you know, for absolutely everybody. You just can't. And you can't treat yourself the same just because one big guy does it. Doesn't mean that you can do it, because you're going to respond completely differently.
Exactly.
Same thing when it comes to HIIT and lifts. I've got nothing wrong with doing some HIIT. I actually do 2 cardio sessions a week myself on my rest days. One that's HIIT and one that's lifts. The only thing that I really, really bloody hate is when people say that they do HIIT for 45 minutes. It's like, no, you don't. I do HIIT for 8 minutes and then I'm dead. And that's all I do. I'll do an 8-minute session of HIIT. And quite honestly, I am done for the day. Yeah. you know, and then I'll go on some walks or whatever like that. So I'll do 8 minutes of HIIT and then 30 minutes of bliss on my other rest day, which is what I'm scheduled to do today. But again, it just comes down to each and every individual person. For somebody who says to me, oh yeah, I love doing HIIT, so I'll do HIIT over LISS. And then they tell me that they've done an hour's worth of HIIT. It's like, well, you're not training to that higher intensity level. So do you know what? No, you're not doing HIIT. So you're going to be programmed miss or a circuit, you know, or something like that. So again, it is, I've got no realistic opinion on any particular training split, because and I know that's a really shit answer, Jack. I do apologize, Mr. Stanier, but it's the honest truth. I've got no standard opinion on any of them. I look at my clients, I look at what they can do, what they can achieve, what they can recover from, and then I use a method that is beneficial for them.
Yeah, I do think, I've gone close to the camera, it's blowing me out. So I do think there is like, it's hard to, if you are training a particular training style or method, that you need to be fully aware of how to do. So it's what you've mentioned. Some people are saying they're trained to fail it when they're absolutely not. And some people are saying, oh, reps of reserve, I'll leave 2 reps of reserve. And the training, and they get there, they think that's 2 reps of reserve. And it's probably 5 or 6 because they're not really too familiar to whether the point of failure is for that individual. So it's important to be fully aware of how to perform that method correctly. And that is like that's my sort of issue with a lot of people training with reps of reserve, is are they really, there is merit to training with reps of reserve, but are they really training to as many reps of reserve as possible? I mean, there has been some times when I'm training in a set where I thought, right, I'm going to get this amount of reps, and I get to that, and I could probably squeeze out 3 more. But if I'd have gone with reps of reserve, I would have probably cut myself shy of 5, trying to aim for 2 reps of reserve. So yeah, there's pros and cons for each one. I just think if you are training to a particular method, like Vic mentioned, you need to make sure you are doing it correctly and you are fully aware of how to perform it.
For sure. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. Stanier. If not, tough. We spent enough time on it.
Yeah, tough.
Right, next question then. A bit of a stupid, well, it's not really a stupid one. It's actually quite a decent one. Favorite pre-workout meal and why?
Favorite pre-workout meal? At the moment, I'm smashing cereal pre-workout. Sorry, Jack Thornton. I'm so sorry. But I am. I'm getting like Marshmallow Mateys, which is Lucky Charms and cheap. In B&M, yeah, of course. Cocoa Pops, whatever. But what I will do is pre-workout is make sure I have that cereal, that sugary cereal, which is quite high in sugars, with some sort of fats. So probably some peanut butter, some dark chocolate, or full fat milk to slow down that digestion of carbs. Yeah, carbohydrates. What's that word of that gives me energy? Carbs. Yeah. But yeah, I'm quite liking that. It's something quite enjoyable. When I was on prep, I loved oats. So oats pre-workout were great. Do you know what? I used to have a lot on prep, pre-workout wraps. And if you were to look on my highlighted stories, I gave a little description on how to make them. And they got quite popular on Instagram. I would just make these wraps, put them under the grill, and oh my God, it was like a little burrito on prep, and it was a little grilled burrito, and I was like, oh my.
Now you can just go and get one from Nando's.
From Nando's? Because it's like 10 times the price.
Well, yeah, and probably 10 times higher in fat as well, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. What's your favourite pre-workout meal?
I am partial to either, you're going to laugh, rice flake porridge with strawberries, coconut milk, and cinnamon of peace. Has to be sweet cinnamon because otherwise it's not anabolic enough. And I will have an omelette to go alongside it for the protein source, and I will drench it. I will drench it in tomato ketchup for the sodium. Sodium. Yeah, I like it. I eat a lot of food though, but to be fair, my rice, I mean, I don't actually see the value because we train quite early. I don't see personally the value for me and my digestion to smash like 120 grams worth of carbs, you know, before I go and train. I just don't see the value in that. I think it just sits quite heavy on my stomach.
Yeah.
And I just get some kind of regurgitation. My gastric emptying is actually quite slow. So yeah. I put in about 75 to 80 grams worth of carbs before I work out. And I put that in about an hour to an hour and 20 minutes before we actually go and work out.
Yeah.
I utilize that realistically as a top up because I have a fairly hefty dose of carbohydrates as well before I go to bed. And let's face it, the carbs aren't going anywhere. The glycogen isn't going to go anywhere because I'm eating them and sleeping. So I'm not utilizing the glycogen. So I use that as a top up.
A lot of people pour their carbs pre and post. They pour it in, and they're having like
I don't get it.
A stupid amount because they think that they're not using any sort of carbs before the pre-workout meal. But yeah, I'm in a position where I can eat a high amount of food and not really be too affected by it. Which was quite fortunate. Like that Nando's yesterday. I was good to go not long after that, and that was a hefty meal.
It was a very hefty meal. I mean, I still ate when I got home. We were going to go out for some food again with my mum because she was looking after the kids for me last night. But then my little boy had an accident in gym and hurt his back and hurt his shoulder. So he was just like, I don't want to go out for food. So we ended up having like a beef curry or something like that. Beef madras, which was actually really bloody spicy.
Yeah.
I was eating it and my nose was dripping and all sorts. I'm like, shit, the spice got me. Oh my God. So you know, we had that last night and I was fine. But the problem is with some people, don't get me wrong, I do think that putting a lot of your biggest meals peri-workout is actually really beneficial. And especially if you are on a crap ton of carbohydrates, it's an easy way of getting carbohydrates in if you have it in your intra workout. So a lot of people have like 100 grams of carbohydrate intra workout in the form of highly branched cyclic dextrin or Carbamax from Strong Sports Nutrition. That's the best one on the market in my personal opinion. And everybody who has used it that I've prescribed it to them has not had any kind of gastric reflux. Now, just to kind of like clarify how I prescribe intra-workout carbohydrates, I don't actually give them to my bodybuilders or my powerlifters for that matter, unless my powerlifters are training for longer than 3 hours. And if that is the case, then they're doing it wrong. Bodybuilders, I don't do it unless they have got a lot of digestive issues and it's just an easy way to get carbs in. It's not going to increase your performance at all because most bodybuilding programs take 90 minutes to 2 hours and that's it. You're not going to deplete your glycogen stores, especially if you have had carbohydrates pre-workout as well. I do, however, prescribe intra-workout carbs to a lot of my endurance athletes, so cyclists, triathletes, people like that who are going to need them because they will deplete their glycogen a lot quicker, especially if they're on like a 2 to 3 hour bike ride for one of their sessions.
Yeah.
And strongmen, of course, you know, strongmen do need that kind of thing in there. But that is the best one that I've found from people who I have prescribed it to, and their feedback, they haven't had any kind of gastric reflux, heartburn, anything else that's been associated with intra-workout carbohydrate drinks. So, but that's obviously by the by. Again, you just need to find one that works for you. But that's just like a little bit of a personal recommendation.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, we were getting back to like pre-workouts, wasn't it? So yeah, that's my hefty meal that I will have. I'll probably have that on a leg day as well because I really enjoy that on a leg day. Other ones where I don't do a lot of like stuff. So it will be my cardio, for example. My list cardio, I'll always do fasted because I find that better for fat oxidation even, not oxidation, fat oxidation. And it is, again, just changing the parameters of performance, and you're manipulating your body's energy utilization too. So you'll be using more by doing that fasted, and you'll be using different energy pathways. So that's the only one that I do fasted. My HIIT stores that I do, I'll actually have cheese on toast.
Cheese on
so gluten-free Warburton's toast, and I'll have 3 slices of that, which, to be fair, because the gluten-free toasts are really small, there's like 10 grams of carbs per slice. So yeah, it's poverty toast. It is poverty toast. Yeah. So I shall have that, and I shall have some cheese on it and a protein shake, and then I am good to go for some HIIT. All the fun.
Good.
All the fun.
That sounds very nice. See, there's me with just cereal. And you just chat all over that.
Yeah.
Can I just say what the fuck is going on with my webcam?
I don't know, man.
I'm fading as we speak. This is a brand new webcam that I brought so I can do these podcasts. It says right in front of me 1080p HD, right? Oh, now it's unblurring.
Now it's done it because you've decided to shit all over how good your camera is.
Because, you know, I've had a go at my camera and it's like, oh shit, maybe I should work now. But look, I'm still blurred. This is not a 1080p. I'm very disappointed at this.
Well, you have a problem with your camera. I have a problem with my microphone. But it's the 3rd episode. Do you know what? We're gonna have little scrubby bits like this.
I know. It's like we've got shitty superpowers.
That's a good question, actually. If you could choose one superpower, what would it be? You can only have one. You can't fly and be invisible. You can only have one.
Okay. I would have the ability, right? Check this, right? Okay. You know Wolverine?
I do know Wolverine. I know him personally, and I've got his mobile number.
Really? He was great in The Greatest Showman, wasn't he?
Oh, he was so good. That man's voice. Never would have thought it for a wolf.
I know. But Mr. Logan, so Wolverine has this healing factor, right? So he can regenerate, so he gets stabbed or shot, whatever, and he regenerates instantly. And I think that's pretty cool. Pretty cool power. But think about this, right? You going into the gym, you tear those muscles, boom, instant healing. Your recovery is on point. That means you're going to get massive. You can literally go to the gym for 6 hours. Or you could go to the gym for like 20 hours at a time, and you would just be healing as you're going on. And you walk out of that gym probably twice the size you are. That's the superpower I would have, because I would be Mr. Olympia by next week. I'm spending all day, every day. That's my superpower. And then you can live forever as well, because you could. I mean, you wouldn't even need drugs, to be fair, but like, or anything like that, because you would have that ultimate healing power. So that's going to be not my chosen superpower. What will be yours?
That's quite a good superpower.
Well, I thought I've been thinking about this. I am a nerd, so that's why I had this answer on hand.
You did, and this was just like a little bit of an ab libitum question as well. Very nice. I think my superpower would be the ability not to feel fear.
Oh, that is a good one.
But to be honest, I don't really know the reason why. No, actually, I do know the reason why. It's because I'm shit scared of spiders. I am like completely arachnophobic. Anything like, you know those little money spiders that you can get in your hair, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, you've got a spider in your hair, right? If somebody said that to me, even though I would know it would just be a little money spider, I'd crap myself. And I'm like, get it out. It's horrendous. Like, there was one time when Scott wasn't actually in the house, and I was cornered by this spider. And the big ones with the big legs, not like the daddy long legs, because they're just like, they're crap. But like the big bodies, the black ones, and they just sit there. Yeah, one of them. And he cornered me, and it's the one that basically wears a 10-gallon hat, has a boombox on his shoulder, and he's like, hey, do you know what? I own this fucking corridor. And he was cornering me, and I was taking the washing upstairs, and I just stood at the top of the stairs with this whole bunch of towels, and I'm like, fuck, I can't do anything. And my heart was like pounding, and I was sweating, and I was trapped. I was trapped, and Scott wasn't in the house.
This way you overcome your fears. You can't force yourself to chat to the spider. I mean, I was talking to a spider the other day, because Mo told me to take out the spider, and I did. And we were having a few drinks, and he's a good guy. I found out he's a web designer.
You twat. That's like the worst joke ever, but I'm giggling about it. Oh dear, bad jokes. At least he wasn't a web slinger.
Oh no, that's the worst.
Web designers are good though. But no, I mean, I do talk to the spider. That's the one thing that I don't get. Why do people take spiders outside? They just come back in.
I take him outside.
I know, but he'll be back in again.
I've never seen the same spider twice.
How do you know?
Sorry?
How do you know?
Well, because I asked him, are you the same spider?
He's not going to want it, is he?
No. The answer's me, because I'm friendly.
Well, no, the spiders have got to go for me, I'm afraid. And everybody goes, oh, you shouldn't kill spiders because they eat flies and blah, blah. Yeah, okay, great. I don't have that many flies in my house. So they do their job, and then I get rid of the spider.
See, my vegan friend, Mr. Jack Stanier, shouldn't kill anyone, obviously, because that is the religion of a vegan. He's all for killing spiders.
Good. Well, he's not going to eat a spider.
No, just
is he?
He's not going to eat him, no, but he's still killing a living thing. And I was like, oh, that's quite contradictory.
Well, it's controversial, but I'm with Stanier on that one.
Yeah, well, let's see. I'm a spider guy.
I'm going to allow that one to go through. I'm going to allow it to go through. Anyway, moving on. We are coming up to time. So have you got one more question that you would like to ask, or are we signing off now?
Let me just have a check on my cellular device.
On your cellular device? Not a mobile device, but a cellular. Interesting. Indeed. It's time for the final question of the night.
It's time for the final question. Once we're getting this question up, we haven't discussed how you died on me.
Do you want to know why I died? Do you think that people want to know why I died?
I think they do. Because I would say that is quite a big detail that you've left out about your training week.
Okay, so I suppose that could go back to the same question that Jack was asking, really. I mean, why do we like our own split that we do at the moment, or our own method that we use at the moment? So I was doing the pendulum squat, and the pendulum that I use in Apex is ridiculously heavy. It is a silly stack pendulum. It's like ridiculously heavy. And anyway, the first week that I did it, I only got 5 reps on this bloody thing. But on the same weight this last week that we did together, I got 8 reps. Got out, and I felt myself feel a little bit funny, so I sat down. And Jack said, are you all right? I said, yes. And then apparently I looked up at him and reached out to him with fear in my eyes, or I don't even know if I looked scared or anything like that, did I? But just told him quite categorically that I was going to pass out.
Hey,
and promptly did.
The thing is, what scared me is she was cool as a cucumber. She's like, I'm going to pass out now. Like it was like a death scene, right? There, in the arms. She's like, I'm going to pass out. And then she went, I was like, no!
I got paid extra for that death scene. Do you know, actors actually do get paid extra for having a good death scene because they get killed off. Yeah, so they get paid extra for having a good death scene.
And
so I got paid extra.
And then Vic came round just a few seconds after, and she goes, did I pass out? I was like, yeah, you did. And he scared the shit out of me. What?
Sorry.
Final question from Kieran Clay, a chap who trains at Apex.
Hi, Kim.
He says, can you build muscle doing a full body split? And basic answer is yes, you can build muscle with any type of resistance as long as you take into account your recovery capacity, especially with full body days. If you're going to be doing full body days regular throughout the week, then you have to make sure you're not doing it at you are doing it at an amount of volume that you can recover by your next session. So ideally, probably on the lower end, if you are doing it frequently. So if you're doing full bodies like 3-4 times a week, then you know. And also, I like full body splits for people who are just beginning training, quite beginners, because they're not able to train with a crazy amount of volume anyway, and so they're able to hit multiple body parts, and they can do that probably 3 times a week. It's a good way to sort of get them into training, and just get them just familiar with things, and just build up a nice base, and they could probably move them onto an upper lower, and then eventually move them onto a push pull legs. That's how I like using full body. I'm not too much for it for the experienced lifter. So I personally wouldn't do a full body, because I'd say I need more volume in those muscle groups. What were your thoughts?
Plus, you'd probably fuck yourself up if you were to do full body.
Yeah.
Because realistically, I mean, if you were to do full body, if you were to train to failure in full body or have the adequate amount of volume, it's like you were saying, you're going to need to actually recover from it in order to do it again. And if you did it 3 days a week, which in my opinion is optimal, the optimal amount of time, so you'd be doing full body every other day. So 1 week you might do 4 days, the next following week you'll do 3 days because it's every other day. But if you're going to go to failure, there's no way that your body is going to be able to recover the next time you're going to do it. So like you were just saying, for the more experienced lifter, it's probably not the best option in my opinion. But for people who are just starting out and getting that volume and getting the feel of the muscle working efficiently and recovering from it properly, then yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing it. I suppose it's exactly the same question about what we've just responded to. There's never one best, quote unquote, hate doing that, upper air quotations. There's never one best way to build muscle. It's about consistency over time, being in a surplus over time. And that's it.
Yes.
I think we should end the podcast by saying, stop overcomplicating shit.
Yes.
People who overcomplicate shit, just like saying, I don't have really good upper trapezius muscles with decent insertions, and what muscle group should I train in order to get that? Mate, stop overthinking shit. Just row, press.
What you need to grow is to be in a surplus, mechanical tension and progressive overload, and training at a volume that you can recover from. So when people are overthinking the splits and everything, they could be hindering themselves because they're just, putting in way too much thought, which actually restricts the actual basic side of things, where you just got to go in, eat plenty, train hard, and recover nicely. And that is the fundamentals of progression.
Of progression in every sense of the word. But yeah, so that's it. So stop overcomplicating shit. Custard creams win. Be your own superhero.
Yeah.
End of podcast.
Healing factor is the best superpower.
Indeed. Because be Wolverine. Be Wolverine. Always you be yourself, unless you can be Wolverine or a unicorn. And then you can always be that.
Yeah. I tend to find unicorns quite horny.
On that note, thank you for tuning in to For the Love of Oats. We will catch up with you again next week with a fabulous guest of choice. Oosh.
Oosh. Thank you for joining us. If you like this podcast, give us a like. If you want to see more of this, if you haven't already, subscribe and leave a nice comment. Look at this camera now. Look at it. Look at how it's behaving.
Perfect.
That's a violation right in front of me. Look at me. I'm all clear as day. You just see me as Mr. Blur for the most of it. Okay, I'm not going to go in that tangent, but right, okay. See you guys later. It's been great having you guys, and I will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.